Let me just get ready po. Hello po, Sir Rocky. Teacher A.
Hello, Sir
Okay.
Mad.
Hello,
Good-
Teacher A.
Good evening sa Pilipinas.
Yan. So set ko lang yung cellphone for our live viewers. Yan. So we can start na po. Siguro. So shout out for the 18 Facebook live viewers. Yan. And to the Zoom participants. So Ma'am Labonete, you may start po with the prayer. Thank you.
Yes po, good evening everyone. Let's put our mind and hearts to the presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we offer to you our online class today with Sir Majid. We pray that through your divine guidance, we would learn how to listen attentively to the inputs, instructions, and the questions that Sir Majid will give us today. May we appreciate our knowledge to be shared today and all the efforts that our facilitator will do today. Please give us all the knowledge, Lord, and the encouragement that we'll be able to answer all the questions based from our lessons and own thinking. Maraming salamat, Lord, sa mga pagkakataong ito, Lord, binibigyan niyo sa amin. Naway kaming mga estudyante or nagpaplanong mag-take ng exam for the coming months or next year, naway gabayan mo kami, Lord, at patuloy na subaybayan mo rin ang aming kaligtasan. This we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Okay, for our Muslim brothers and sisters, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wal barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, rahmanirrahim. Malik yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Yun. So, good afternoon and good evening. Good morning sa lahat po ng ating participants. Okay, our aspiring LPTs. Yan. So, kamusta po sila? You can give me a heart if you're doing great. Let us use the Zoom React. Yun. Thank you, Ma'am Labonete, Ma'am Charissa, Sir Rocky. Hello po. Yan. So what we will be having this afternoon is facilitating learning. And so one of the components of the examination in professional education, facilitating learning, and children development. So magkasama po yung dalawang yun. So shout out din sa ating 65 Facebook Live. So can I ask you for a thumbs up if I am clear, loud enough, audible? Yan, thank you. Yan, thank you po. So I hope, I'm expecting that everyone will be participating. And as I said, please do answer the questions, okay? And you may also ask other questions for me to help you rationalize your thinking. Okay. So we're using a PowerPoint so that we will not be encountering any problem in connectivity, especially nagkakaroon po ng delay sa ating mga Facebook Live. So for our Facebook Live viewers, I'm still encouraging you po to participate. Yan. Hello, Ma'am Camille. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Yan. I hope those Zoom participants, your microphone are working great. Para mamaya po, pagka nagtawag tayo, yan, may maririnig po natin yung mga boses natin. Okay, shout out to Ma'am Jenica. Yan. Okay. So, in our review, this is always our guiding quote, and I hope this would be a guiding quote for every teachers. Yan. So, Ma'am Arlene, yan, si Ma'am Labanete. Would you mind reading po?
Yes, sir. Okay. The learning coach, teach me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn, according to Benjamin Franklin.
Ayan. So the first po is, ayan, tell me and I forget. No, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So that's why in my review as your facilitator in this review on Teacher A Online Review Center, gusto ko po yung nagkakaroon tayo ng interaction. I don't want you just to listen, no? So I want you to be an active participant of your own learning. So as we said, let us always remember that learning is a responsibility of the learner. Teacher should be a facilitator. And that should be what is our role as a teacher. Facilitator po tayo. Okay. So our target competencies, Ma'am AJ, would you mind reading?
Target competencies analyze the cognitive, metacognitive, motivational, sociocultural factors that affect learning.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am AJ. Yan. Good evening po ba? Good afternoon, good morning sa lugar nyo. Taga saan po si Ma'am AJ?
Taga Nabotas po.
Nabotas.
Good evening po.
Okay. Good evening po. Ayan.
Good
So,
evening, sir.
good evening. Ayan. So, analyze. So, as I said po in my review previously, that prompt question is mostly situational. So, we need to really, so, we learned already the different principles, theories, yan, nabasa na natin. Then, the next thing is to know how to apply it. It is not how much you know, but how relevant you can apply what you know. So, okay, so yan. Can you see my screen po? Yan. Kasi may nakita lang ako message dito sa Zoom. Okay, thank you. So again, I will be sharing the 3 ingredients for passing and topping the board exam. Ayan, prepare. Alam kong preparado na po sila, especially yung mga magte-take at saka yung mga magte-take pa next year. So mas mahabang preparation. So this would be a learning experience for you, yung mga mag-prepare pa for the next board exam. Then pursue your plan. So whatever your plan is, you make your budget of time with reviewing. Yeah. Best of luck, future LPTs. Coming from Teacher A on the review and pray. Yan. So, huwag natin kakalimutan yung pray. So, our learning targets, pag sinabi po natin facilitating learning, napakalawak ng sakop niya. No? Napakalawak ng sakop niya. Makikita niyo po later on as we go on with our review. So, what would be our learning target in this review? So, principles and theories of learning, principles and theories of motivation. So as we all know, motivation is a factor that affects learning. Then facilitating learning principles and theories. So ito po yung tatlo na ating i-unfold, okay, dito sa ating review this afternoon. Hello, Sir John Mark. Kamusta po?
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Ma'am Shai. Okay. So, yan. Mahilig po ako talaga sa learning coach kasi talagang yun yung guiding light natin, no? Parang button light. Sir John, would you mind reading it?
The quote, sir.
Yes.
Okay, the quote is, if you teach a person what to learn, you are preparing that person for the past. If you teach a person how to learn, you are preparing for the future. That's I will hold.
Thank you very much, Sir John. Okay. Can you give me one simple understanding of that quote in relation to facilitating learning? So I give you a minute. Sige. Anyone po, anyone. Feel free. Yes, Sir John. Sir John Mark. Ayan. I think meron na Sir John. Nakita ko active yung microphone. Go ahead.
Actually, sir, I guess this quote, it has a relation with the quote also, a very famous quote. You don't need to give man a fish. Instead, you will teach him how to fish. So this quote is kind of susceptible in the facilitating learning because if you teach a person what to learn, you are not teaching that person on how he or she would make an application in the future. But if you teach the person how to learn, so basically you are preparing that person for a future because you will not only teach them a shallow things, but instead you will teach them an authentic and at the same time a real application things for them. I think that's in my own notion, sir.
That's a very good interpretation of the quote. Any other? Yun. So a quote interpreted with another quote. Okay, which is actually, if I'm not mistaken, parang nasa Bible din yun, no? Yung teaching of a man to fish rather than giving it a fish. Yan. So, si Ma'am Camille. Hello, Ma'am Camille. Any simple interpretation of that? Ma'am Camille? So, sino kaya? So, again, our topic is facilitating learning. That's why the learning code that I choose is this one. So, it has something to do on how teachers.
Sir
Yes,
Majid,
ma'am.
can I
Yes.
share my
Yes.
idea on maybe I'm
Yes.
correct or wrong? Okay. For me, the interpretation of the quotation task, it means that in teaching a person or the students, it is really important to teach them the skills and the process itself in learning something, not only the definition or the theory about a certain thing. So it is necessary for them to learn how the thing works rather than knowing what the thing is. So kahit sa pagsasagot ng ating mga answer, ng mga question, parang we really have to think of it from the process itself. We really don't need for us to memorize. It also means that we should mold also as students to learn by the knowledge and the skills and abilities, parang yung mga cognitive aspect ng
Yes.
mga like motivation itself. That's my my idea also.
Correct. Yun, tama. Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Marlene, for the very nice interpretation as well. Now, so that's a very long statement, no? And saying about the code or learning. Now, when we say learning, what one word is the best evidence of learning? Ano yung one word na masasabi natin na natuto yung bata? That we were able to facilitate learning to our learners. What is the best evidence that a learner learns something?
Assessment, sir?
Assessment, okay.
Application or performance.
Application performance assessment, okay, good. Very, yes, we have a good answer. Yes, Ma'am Sheila May. Ogoy Bontilao. Yeah. So, assessment, why we need to assess, what are we looking for? Then we have the application. Yan. So, assessment, application, that's correct. Ano pa? The most evidence of learning. And that's why we need to understand on how we were going to facilitate learning to our learners. That's why ang lawak ng coverage niya. Any other? Application, yeah. Summative test, okay. So pag summative test as a teacher, para siya sabi natin as a teacher, we just teach to test. Yan, teach to test pag sinabi natin summative test, no? Okay. Pag sinabi natin learning, eto na kagad yung ano natin. Pag parang sinabi ko last time, pag sinabi natin curriculum development, learner. Pag sinabi natin learning, ano kaya? Yan, i-associate natin. Pag sinabi natin learning, that this is the best evidence of learning. Yun. May mga sagot doon sa ano, hindi ko natandaan. Hindi ko maintindihan. Siguro, from Nigeria. Hello, from Nigeria. Ayan. Global tayo. Global community. Yes. Developmental portfolio. Okay. Why we need to ask them to have a portfolio, which is, as we know, This is one of the evidence that we're looking for. But portfolio is just a solid proof. Pero ano talaga yung pinaka-proof ng learning? One word. Okay. Performance. Okay. Survey. Yes. Okay. Pag sinabi po natin yes, okay, that's correct. Interaction. So pag sinabi natin learning, the best evidence of learning is a change in behavior. So a change in behavior. Diba? Pag nagbabago yung behavior ng bata, okay, from this previous age going to the next age, then we will be able to say that there is a manifestation of learning. Do you agree po? That when we say learning, it is behavior. And so as we go on with our review, we will always keep in mind that learning is all about behavior. We facilitate the change in behavior. Kaya katulad sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, the most important thing for me is ACE. What is ACE? Attitude changes everything. Right? Our attitude towards everything will affect our performance, will affect how we improve. Okay? So, ano pa ba? Yung mga sinagot natin ng mga Zoom natin. Okay, and survey as well. Yan. So, progress. So, behavior. No? So, are you familiar with William Glasser choice theory? Sino pong familiar? Sino pong nakarinig ng William Glasser choice theory? Anyone from the Zoom? And from our Facebook Live. So William Glasser is one of an important component of learning or facilitating. So ito yung kanyang, kaya katulad kanina tinatanong ko kayo, no? So ito yung isang quote that we can associate with Glasser. Yan. According to William Glasser, we learn 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear, 70% of what we discuss, 80% of what we experience. Take note, experience is the best teacher. Okay? A driving force that will affect the different aspect of our being as a learner and as an individual, whether it is all about cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, and 95% of what we teach others. Sharing, creating. So, ito po yung ating kay William Glasser, no? So, that's why pagka nagbasa lang tayo, 10% lang yung makukuha natin doon. Even when we answered some review questions, no, sa mga reviewer. Pero pag hindi natin inintindi ng maayos and we relate that into a real life application, that's why I said, prop-ed question is mostly situational. Okay po? Yeah. So, ine-exercise lang po natin, piniprepare natin yung mind natin, no, warm up. So, in facilitating human learning, ang lawak ng kanyang coverage. So, this is a diagram of the different components of how we facilitate learning. So, we have learning and knowledge acquisition. So, we need to consider about the nature and the characteristic of the learning, the learner itself, okay? The theories of learning. Ayan, alam natin yung mga theories of learning, di ba? O, thumbs up po. Sino po yung mga nakakaalam ng theories of learning? Give me one. Ma'am Luis. Yan, si Ma'am Luis. Ma'am Luis, isang theories of learning na gustong-gusto mo. Yan, sino kaya? Ma'am Aiza. Yan, si Ma'am Aiza. I can see the microphone is active. Ma'am Aiza? Any theories of learning? Cognitive learning theory. Yes, thank you, Sir Anthony. Okay.
Behaviorism po.
Behaviorism. Oh, okay, behaviorism. So under the behaviorism theory, sino yung pinakakilala nating proponent?
Oo.
Oh, yes, Ma'am Rhea. Ayan. Totoo, yung active yung microphone. Yan. Love, Maurice. Yan. Progressivism. Okay, so yan. So, ayan po, no? So, ito po yung mga bagay na i-cover ni Sir Mads as we go on with our review. Okay? That's why we have our learning target. So, yan. May kotse, may sasakyan. Ayan. So, pamute na lang po pagka na. Okay, thank you very much. Constructivism, yes. Yeah. Progressivism, yes, very good. Bandura, yes. Could we join via Zoom? Yes, you may join via Zoom, pero by apology because I am not opening my Facebook in my laptop, no? So, by apology po. Sino po yung pwedeng magbigay ng link ng Zoom doon sa ating Facebook viewers? Papigay na lang po. Okay. Yan. So learning. Yeah. So let's define learning. Learning is a complex process involving development of conceptual understanding. Individual learners must actively construct their own learning. That's why we need, as a teacher, we are just a facilitator. Okay, we give them situations, in which they are going to learn. Katulad ng favorite scientist ko, being a science major, my favorite scientist is none other than Albert Einstein. One of the favorite quote na sinabi niya is, I am not teaching my students, I'm just giving them a situation to learn. Yan. So, yun yung isa sa mga quote na talagang nire-remember ko kay Albert Einstein. So, new learning is based on prior knowledge. Active learning is more lasting than passive. That's why I said, involve yourself in our review. Thinking about thinking is very important. Metacognition. Thinking outside the box. The level at which learning occurs is important for effective transfer. So the transfer of learning. Having a meaningful learning. Kailan ba natin sasabihin meaningful yung learning na natutunan natin? Okay. So yan. Are we ready? So everyone are ready now? Can give me a thumbs up. And I hope you're answering on your end so that you will be able to really apply our technique. Again, concentrate on the question, identify the stem, underline the stem, and circle conditions and parameters. Kasi whether you have read it or not, that's why in English we are taught about context clues. No? By reading a certain statement, we will be able to understand what is within the context. So kahit hindi natin nabasa, pagka naintindihan natin gamitan ng unlocking of the meaning, so yan. But I'm not saying hindi nyo alam to kasi I know handang-handa kayo. Here we go. So for our Facebook Live viewers, just kindly put the number na pagka next sumasagot po tayo. Okay, yeah. So how about our Facebook Live participants? It's okay, Ma'am Marlene. Okay. So this would be a learning to be unfold, no? So medyo maraming ano to, ma'am, or ma'am Labonete, theories. We need to know how to apply it into situation. Ayan. So varied answers. Meron tayong mga varied answers. Okay. So may I ask Ma'am Charissa to read the question? Yun, meron na nagpapalit. Ayan. Okay, good.
Number 1.
Yes, yun.
Teacher
Go ahead.
Pia, chemistry. May I done, sir?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sige na po.
Go ahead.
Teacher Pia, a chemistry teacher. Make sure all eyes are on her as she demonstrates the proper behavior in lighting a Bunsen burner, whose theory supports Teacher Pia's practice.
Okay.
A. Albert Bandura. B. William Glasser. C. Jean Piaget. D. Lev Vygotsky.
Okay, Vygotsky.
D, sir. Lev Vygotsky.
Okay, Vygotsky. Ayan. So si Vygotsky. So let us look at the question. So this is a situation, a classroom situation in which we are going to identify what theories of learning is being employed. Okay. Teacher Pia, chemistry teacher, make sure all eyes are on her as she demonstrates the proper behavior in lighting a Bunsen burner, whose theory supports Teacher Pia's practice. Ayan. So, give you a thumbs up po kung kilala si Albert Bandura. Sikat na sikat si Sir Albert, di ba? Siguro yung pinaka-unknown dyan is si William Glasser, no? Jean Piaget also. Okay, if you have children development, yan, may encounter na natin doon si Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. Okay, so let us do. So the stem of the question is all about theory that supports Teacher Pia's practice. And ano ba yung practice ni Teacher Pia? The practice of Teacher Pia is to make sure that her student is in focus to her, no? In attention to her. Yan. So, yun. Kompleto si si Ma'am Rodeza. Okay. So the correct answer is A. Okay. This is the proponent of this theory is Albert Bandura. So we have the proponent, which is Albert Bandura. Sa anong theory sikat si Sir Albert Bandura? From our Zoom participants. Live model. Okay. Yes, very good, Sir John Mark. Social learning theory. Okay. Social learning theory. So, Sir Albert Bandura is very known for the social learning theory, in which these are the different stages. Okay. Stimuli focus. Okay. Rehearse encode, which talk about retention, practice feedback, and reward reinforce. So the first is attention. Ayan. So attention. So if we are going to go back to this question, what word here means attention? That's why the answer here is Albert Bandura's social learning theory. So that is because of making sure that all eyes, okay, is focused to Teacher Pia while she is demonstrating. So when we say stimuli focus, then there is what we call modeling. Okay? There is what we call modeling. Yan. So modeling, observing, imitating. Okay. Then we have, yung si Jean Piaget naman is all about the stages of development from simple to complex. So later on, we will have that. Then Lev Vygotsky is zone of proximal development. Zone of proximal development. So William Glasser, so I think hindi natin medyo ilala si William Glasser. So William Glasser is all about choice theory. So why I choose these two instead of Piaget and Lev Vygotsky because of the learning pyramid. Okay? According to Glazers, this is the learning pyramid. Okay? Which I have presented a while ago. And according to William Glaser, choice theory, there are 5 basic needs of learners. A sense of survival, a sense of belongingness, power, freedom, and fun. So learning should be fun, okay? And if we are going to have all of this, this will relate into what we call the reality. So that's why we have the William Glaser as one of the choices. So malinaw po ba? Yes, Glaser's choice theory. Yan, alam ni Sir Anthony Solon. Okay. So again, bakit po si Albert Bandura yung sagot natin? Because of the word all eyes, which means attention. Stimuli, focus. Okay? Stimuli, focus. Are we clear po? Give me a thumbs up po. Any other question? Any other doubt? Yes, thank you, Ma'am Kim. Okay. So this is the simple way on how we are going to remember the social learning theory of Albert Bandura. So stimuli, focus, attention. So there is a model showing it. Then rehearse or encode, meaning we are observing. Okay? We are observing, try to process part by part. No? For example, if we are going to talk about an example, driving a car, okay, what would be the stimuli focus? So we will be observing a person who is driving a car. Then after that, we are going to encode part by part by observing paano ba tumatakbo yung kotse, paano pinapatakbo ng driver yung kotse. So we will be learning about paano pinapaikot yung wheels, paano yung gears. Yan. Then we will have now the motor reproduction. Gagawin na natin. And to be able to be motivated to continuously pay attention to the learning, bakit ba kailangang matutong mag-drive? Kasi meron kang gustong marating. May gusto kang mapuntaan. And that is your motivation. Yes, Ma'am Rachel. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Okay? So, eto po. Yan yung pinaka-simple natin. Okay. Let's go to number 2. Okay, so shout out to our 86 Zoo live participants. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Lee. Paniban. Okay, yeah. Okay. So we have valid answers. How about in our Zoom? Yes, thank you, Ma'am Charissa. Yes, Maman. You're raising your hand. Go ahead. You're acknowledged.
Which of the following is a barrier to the improvement of memory? A. Imaginary. B. Mnemonics. C. Retroactive inhibition. D. Word categorization. For me po is A po.
Imagery. Okay,
Yes
imagery.
po.
So the list, which of the following is a barrier or to improve our memory? Okay. So for to Ma'am Ann is imagery. Okay. Would you mind to elaborate, Ma'am Ann, why you choose imagery? Yan, may mga sumagot din ng A sa ating Zoom live Facebook live participants. Yes, Ma'am Ann. Hello, Sir Darrell. Ikaw ba yan? Thumbs up ka dyan. Sir Darrell. Maman? Wala si Maman. Okay. So, tingnan natin. So let us choose two possible answers. That is a barrier to improve memory. So, are we familiar with mnemonics? Are we familiar with mnemonics?
Yes po.
Yun. So when we say barrier, yes, correct, Sir Anthony. Yes. When we say barrier, it is an hindrance, no? A negative option to improve our memory. And this is one of the problem, di ba? This is one of the problem that we have not yet resolved. Okay? The retention factor. Okay? The retention factor. Kung gaano ka tagal nag-i-stay yung natututunan ng bata. And that is what we call learning. So there are short-term and long-term memory. So meaning there are different things that we can do so that we will be able to help our learners to be able to remember something. Okay. So mnemonics, ito yung paggamit natin ng mga iba't ibang stay phrases, no? By using the starting of the letter. I usually use that when I'm discussing about the taxonomy level sa science. Yan. As well as the sequence of planet, distance from the sun. Okay? Yung Mang Victor Espinosa mag-jogging sa umaga ng pumayat. O, pagkasama sa Pluto. At saka tapos binibiro ko yung mga estudyante ko, when there is a newly discovered planet, ang laging ina-attach ang alphabet na K to a number. So, just a way of kidding, okay, sinasabi ko, parang mabuo yung mnemonics natin na Mang Victor Espinosa mag-jogging sa umaga nang pumayat ka. But the explanation of that is in recognition of Johannes Kepler. So, yun yung kung bakit K yung ginagamit pag hindi pa nabibigyan ng pangalan yung isang planetang na-discover. So, imagery, image. Yan. So, eto gamit na gamit to sa science, no? When we talk about elements, compounds, yan, yung mga atom model, yan. So, the most barrier here is retroactive inhibition. Yan. Retroactive. Okay. So, for example, hindi pa natin alam to. Kunwari, okay? For example, hindi natin alam to. Yung retroactive inhibition. But we know about the word retro. A common word, di ba? Retro. Ano ibig sabihin ng retro? Binabalikan. Okay? Binabalikan. Then there is what we call inhibition. Okay? There is an interference. Okay? Yes. The other term for retroactive inhibition, baka doon sa mga naghahanap, okay? Ang alam nila is retroactive interference or the interference theory, parehas lang po siya, no? So, the retroactive inhibition and retro-interference theory, parehas lang po. Okay? So, retroactive meaning, paano mo mai-improve yung memory mo kung nagme-memorize ka ng isang bagay, tapos meron kang gagawing isang activity. So, your focus are divided. Okay? Your focus are divided in that particular material and the activity that you're doing. So, mas matatandaan mo kung ano yung ginawa mo kaysa doon sa material na dapat mo matandaan. So, that's what we call retroactive inhibition or interference. Nag-memorize ka, bigla kang may ginawa. That's why one of the strategy, accordingly, in improving our memory is assimilating. Okay? For example, nagbasa ka ng facilitating learning about Albert Bandura's social learning theory. Iisipin mo ngayon, yes, negative effect po siya. Okay. Iisipin mo ngayon, pwede mong isipin, saan ko ba nabasa ito? Sa sala? Sa kwarto? Yan. So pwede natin i-ask it so that our brain will easily process. Matutulungan tayo. Okay? So that's one way of. So imagery, it will not be a barrier because of it is applicable. Pero yung retroactive from the word retro. Okay? So again, I'm explaining it with the use of context clues. So kung di po natin nakuha, then we are going to go back to read all of those that has something to do with memory. Again, learning, okay, kasi paniniwala natin sa learning is memorization. So hindi na siya dapat ganoon. It should be about being active, di ba? Being active. So mnemonics, imagery, word categorization, this is a product of creating, okay? Based on Bloom's revised taxonomy. Yan. So kaya makikita natin, meron na talaga learning. Ika nga. Are we clear po? Yun. Thank you, Sir Anthony, for that. So again, barrier, negative. So meaning, it hinders the improvement of your memory. Kaya katulad ng pinapaliwanag po natin, no? If we are going to go back, mas mataas yung memory retention nung mga nauna sa atin, okay, kaysa yung mga ngayon, kasi maraming disruption. Okay? Maraming disruption. Dati walang masyado, di ba? Walang masyadong technology, walang masyadong TV konti lang, di ba? Yan. Ngayon, ang daming disruption. Social media is a disruption. Okay, next. Okay, I'm encouraging our 111. So 111 Facebook Live participants. Thank you for answering. Yes. Okay. Yo, Ma'am AJ's. Okay. Sir John Mark. Okay. So plug in your answers, my dear Zoom participants. Okay. So we have valid answers. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. So, may I ask Ma'am Luis? Ma'am?
Hi, sir.
Hello?
Yes po. Naririnig mo pa ako?
Yes, loud and clear. Napakaganda ng boses.
Okay po. Basahin ko, sir.
Yes po.
Which of the following will trigger additional development if a child is exposed to more challenges and stimuli in his surroundings? Letter A, emotional development. Letter B, interest. Letter C, intelligence. Letter D, potential. Answer ko po, sir. Yung
Okay.
letter B po.
Identify
Ay,
first
sige.
the stem of the question. Yan.
Yung
So
STEM po, which of the following will trigger additional development? Tapos yung condition po, if a child is exposed to more challenges and stimuli in his surrounding. So, ang answer, ang tatanggalin ko po yung letter D and letter A, ay letter C and D.
C and D. Okay.
Tapos, yung answer ko po, letter B, kasi po, yung question, which of the following daw po, yung magti-trigger ng additional development. Magti-trigger. So, feeling ko po yung interest.
Okay.
Di ko siya ma-explain, sir. Pero feeling ko yung interest.
Okay.
Ang answer.
Let me ask you, Ma'am Luis, what affect your interest?
Kung ano, sir, depende, sir, sa nasa paligid ko. Kung
Yes, correct.
interesting. ganun.
Depende
Opo.
sa paligid mo. Right?
Opo.
So what affect your interest? Depende sa paligid ko. Correct.
Opo.
Tama.
Pag boring po, ay
Pag
Wala.
boring,
Wala akong pakialam.
wala kang pakialam. So I
Opo.
hope, pero ngayon, di ba, hindi boring? Just
Oo.
kidding. Okay. So pag boring, wala kang pakialam, right? So what affect the interest of a learner to learn? Diba? What affect the interest of the learner to learn that will trigger them to have an additional development? And this is one thing that we need to consider. This is one thing that we need to consider. This is one thing that in this time of pandemic, dinadagdag natin in our online learning, in our development of the lesson. Diba? So ano yung pinaka magti-trigger? Yun, tama ka, Ma'am Luis. Yung interest ko is na-apektuhan kung ano lang sa paligid ko. Pag boring, now, who triggers you to feel that boring, hindi ako magre-react? That triggers also your interest. So, tanggalin natin intelligence, yung potential. Okay, correct tayo doon. So, Sir John Mark.
Hello, sir. Hello po.
Yes, go ahead.
Opo. My answer po is letter A, emotional development. Kasi based from the question, so the STEM is additional development if a child is exposed to more challenges, no? So especially if the child is exposed to more challenges, so basically you will really develop your emotions on how you will handle a certain challenges. For example, if a child is very, let's say the learner is pessimistic, so the challenges would be easy for him. If the child is kind of, let's say, optimistic rather, if the child is kind of pessimistic, so that it would be really hard for him or her to handle a certain challenges. So that's why additional development to the child, if the child is exposed to more challenges, is emotional development, because it will really trigger him, or it will really trigger to the learner, sir.
Okay, that's good. Yes, Ma'am Luis, ayan.
Kasi sir, feeling ko, ang pinag-uusapan dito, yung trigger, hindi po yung klase ng development na makukuha ng child.
Okay, so, yes, Sir Darrell, go ahead. Yeah.
Hindi lang po kasi sabi niya dito, trigger additional development. Pero yung STEM niya kasi hindi lang nakapokus sa development. Yun po sa stimuli in his surroundings. So kung kunyari, kung ilalagay ko yung sarili ko sa sitwasyon na makikita ko, bakit nila pinagtutunan ng pansin yung isang bagay, yung isang gawain? Bakit sila nagkakaroon ng time para doon sa isang bagay? Parang ganun po. Which is, makukoncern ka naman, makukurious ka, at kapag na-curious ka, doon napapasok yung, interesado pala itong bagay na to. Masubukan ko nga. At kapag nasubukan ng bata, doon na matitrigger na, pwede pala to, challenging siya. Gawin ko nga sa pag-uwi ko sa bahay. Parang ganun po.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, Sir Dennis. Yan. Bago kayo pakita yung sagot and may rationalization. Go ahead.
Ang answer ko po, sir, is a emotional development. Kasi po, ang maapektuhan po yung interest natin dun sa isang bagay once na yung, kasi po alam naman po natin na nagde-decide tayo base sa ating emotion sa nangyayari based on our surroundings. Then, apektado po yung interest doon kung yung surrounding natin is nakakagulo sa atin. Then, kumbaga, for example, sir, hindi ka dun sa surroundings na magulo, kaya apektado yung emotion mo. Imbis na makialubilo ka, di ka makikalubilo kasi mali yung nakikita ng surroundings mo. Kaya po, yun yung answer ko.
Okay, that's a good one. Yan. Sino pa po? Yan, gusto ko yung mga rationalization, yung interpretation nyo. Okay, I like that. So pagka natapos po, pababa na lang ng hands po, no? Parang wala akong lower. Hindi ko nalolower yung hand. Wala ako. Yan. Thank you. So, ano nga ba ang sagot? Yan. Tingnan natin. Dito pala yung mouse ko. So the answer is emotional development. Okay? Emotional development. So, ang maiiwan natin talaga is emotional development and interest. Kaya nga tinanong ko kanina, what will affect your interest? Paano ka nagiging interesado sa isang bagay? Di ba? Paano na-reinforce yung learning mo sa isang bagay? Stress may act as a trigger for illness. Yan. That's why I said, no, kinontextualize ko siya in the time of pandemic. Now the question is, when we are teaching, are we paying attention to the emotion? Okay? Are we paying attention to the emotion? Take note of that the learning should be fun. Okay? Learning should be fun. Kailangan nag-enjoy yung bata. Nagkakaroon siya ng drive. Okay? It is not the subject that will drive the interest of the learner to learn that particular subject, but the teacher. Okay? Yung emotion niya doon sa teacher, the emotion on how the teacher deals, di ba? This is one thing that is a very important aspect of being a teacher. Kaya nating ituro lahat ng subject natin. Okay? But the highest challenge is to understand the emotion of our learners. Okay? Kung nahihirapan na ba siya, kaya meron tayong tinatawag na ngayon na socio-emotional learning. Okay? Are we clear po? Okay? Socio-emotional learning. And I know you have heard that that is one thing that we consider in the time of pandemic. So, balikan natin, trigger additional development. Additional development. Exposed to more challenges and stimuli. So, this is a stimuli response. Kaya tama yung si Ma'am Luis kanina, interest, papinili niya. Pero may tanong, sino nagdadrive ng interest mo? Sabi niya, pag naboboring ako, pag naboring ako, wala na. Eh yung boring, ano siya? Saan mo siya i-relate? Yung boring. Are we clear po? Thumbs up. So I like how we di ba? So hindi lang kayo yung matututo, ako rin kasi nakikita ko paano nyo i-interpret ngayon yung mga tanong. Yeah. So that's why I really ask you to participate with me because I'm having also an assessment, diagnostic, okay, as we go on. Para nakita ko, kailangan na, ito dapat yung maging klaro sa kanila. Okay? Yan. Sino pa ba? For me, sir, emotion. Yes, correct. Emotion. Yeah. Kaya nga, di ba, meron tayong tinatawag na ngayon na adversity quotient. If you have heard about adversity quotient, okay, that is an additional. So we have IQ, EQ, and adversity quotient. Okay, to resolve the sense of depression, which is yun yung pinaka-problema natin ngayon. So kaya kailangan natin mahawakan yung emotion ng ating learners. Okay? Kasi during our time, medyo iba eh. Pag takot ka sa teacher, talaga nakapokus ka. Ngayon, iba na. Iba yung okay? So, emotion. Next. Okay, let us see. Okay, so Mom Jessa, okay. Sir J, okay, yeah. Si Mom Ange, So ito, mukhang, pero may mga valid answers tayo sa Facebook Live. Pero sa Zoom, tama halos lahat. Perfect. Okay. So the correct answer, let us see. Transfer. Okay. So ano yung tatanggalin natin? Dalawa. What learning process involves the application of previously acquired learning to new or different situations? So we will have transfer as one of the possible answer. Ano pa yung isa pang possible answer? Kasi tama lahat eh. Ano pa yung isang possible answer?
Is that conditioning, sir? Possible answer.
Conditioning.
Yeah, we know the answer is already transfer, but for this, I think we really have to remove the motivation and retention.
Okay.
That's it.
What particular word in the question,
I see.
Ma'am Laboneto, give you the idea of
Because
conditioning?
of the acquired, I'm sorry for the conditioning. No, sir, we know that the answer is a transfer. The word for this is the acquired learning to new or different situations. That's why the answer is transfer. But
Yes.
also, I guess the possible answer is conditioning because we're acquiring the learning. So we're conditioning.
Okay. So what learning process involves the application? So I'm telling so we have all of you get the correct answer. Okay. So the guiding word there is application. Okay, application. Learning can become a meaningful learning once we can apply it. The transfer, meaningful transfer of learning. Ika nga. That's why going back to Bloom's taxonomy, di ba? From an old Bloom's taxonomy to a revised, di ba? Nagbago yung pinaka mataas na level, create. So meaning it's more of we will be able to know na natuto yung bata pag kaya niyang kagawa ng isang bagay. Okay? So, ngayon, tinatanong ni Sir Mats, ano yung isa pa natin pwedeng iwan na possible answer? Halimbawa, wala yung transfer. Kunwari lang. No? Yan. So, this is how we prepare ourselves when we are answering review questions. Yes. Very good, Sir Anthony. Correct. Yes. The second possible answer is retention. Okay? So why retention? That would be because of the word previously acquired. Okay. And you will not be able, sabi nga ni Sir Anthony, you cannot, okay, put into application any learning that you have learned if you don't have something in your mind, if there is no retention. At ito yung isang bagay talagang pina-question natin, the retention factor. Kahit baguhin natin yung curriculum, bakit ba ang Philippines, di ba? If you are familiar with PISA, why in the last PISA, okay, at international assessment, ang baba ng Pilipinas in math, science, and English. Eh, ang daming magagaling. Okay? Ang daming magagaling. So, we need to look, ano ba yung kulang? Is that about the curriculum? Or is that about how we facilitate learning? So dito, the second possible, okay? So again, di ba yung technique na tinuturo ko po, wag po tayong malito ha. Tinuturo ko po yung technique. First, focus on the question. Identify the STEM. Encircle the parameters and the conditions. Law of elimination. Eliminate two, okay? Not possible answer to the STEM. Iwanan yung dalawang possible. And the next thing is to weigh. Sino yung pinaka mas related doon sa stem of question. And when we say weighing, there would be other questions in your mind. Katulad ng ginawa ko kanina. What affect your interest to learn? Diba? Tama, interest yung napili mo, pero tanong mo, sapat na ba yung interest? Hindi ba yung emotion ko nakaka-apekto sa interest ko rin? Even my emotion will affect my potential. Even my emotion will affect my intelligence. Okay? Yes, correct. Okay. Retention has something to do with assimilation, accommodation, or what we call schema. Yan. Schema ni Piaget. Okay. Correct. Ako, Sir Darrell, ready. Handang-handa, Sir Darrell. Ayan. So I hope you are not being confused on how we interpret the question po. Give me a thumbs up po. So we always stick on our technique, focus on the question, underline. You don't need to copy, no? You just write down, okay, the stem, the conditions, parameters, then possible answers, and possible to eliminate. Ganun lang po yung gawin natin. Okay. Next. So again, tama po Sir Anthony. You cannot transfer or you cannot apply something if something is not written on your mind. Katulad nung ginagawa po natin ngayon, kung wala po kayong nabasa about the different theories, then you will not be able to apply that in analyzing or interpreting the questions that I'm giving you. Okay. So please plug in your answers. Shout out to our 94 Facebook Live participants. Let me hear from Ma'am Hermosa. Ma'am Mail, would you mind reading po? Ma'am Bernadette. Ma'am Bernadette. Oh, sure na lang. Okay. What is the best explanation of Piaget's concrete operational thought to describe the school-age child's mental ability? Okay. So again, our technique is focus on the question, identify the stem, encircle the conditions of parameters, then law of eliminations, and weighing. Okay. So the stem of the question is about the best explanation for what? So that is now the conditions. Okay, what is the condition set? For concrete operational. Okay, so the stem of the question is the thought of Piaget's, okay, the best statement or the best explanation that talks about concrete operational thought of Piaget's school-age child's mental ability. Yan. So I can see, okay, valid answers tayo. So let us look now. For example, di ko nabasa to, pero alam ko si Piaget. Okay. How many stages? Ilang stages si Piaget?
Apat.
Apat. Okay. So, apat, no? Apat. Okay. So, concrete operational. Okay. Concrete operational. Let me hear from. So, the first stage, ano yung first stage? Okay, the answer is letter D. Okay, I give you a minute to look at the answer. Kasi nakita ko puro B yung ano natin.
Concentration ata yung ano, letter D, kaya ano, oo nga pala.
4 stages. Yes, Ma'am Luis, 4 stages. Yes, Sir Darrell, go ahead. Go ahead, Sir Darrell. You're saying something. Sir Da. Okay, yeah.
Ito yung letter D, nasa ano pala siya. Concrete siya kasi under siya ng reversibility.
Okay, that's good. And so, what is the best explanation of PJ's concrete operational thought? Okay, concrete operational. So, for example, hindi ko nabasa to. Okay, hindi ko nabasa, hindi ko alam yung PJ's. Sabi ni Ma'am Luis, 3, 4. Okay? Okay? So, concrete. So, a child's ability to think about how he thinks. A child can reason logically about things and events he or she perceives. So, all of this talks about PJ's stage, no? Now, we're talking about concrete operational. So, concrete meaning object. So, can understand that certain characteristic of an object remains the same when other characteristics are changed. So sabi ni Sir Darren, reversibility. Okay? Reversibility or conservation? Okay. So this is the cognitive development. Okay, the sensory motor stage.
Hindi siya ng conservation.
Yes, conservation. Hindi siya reversibility.
Decentration kasi yung alam ko, pero parang same lang ata sa conservation.
Okay. So concrete operational stage, okay, understanding of conservation do not change based on the arrangement and appearance of the object. So conservation siya. Okay po. Yan, conservation siya. So maraming factor. Have you seen this one already?
Ibig sabihin sa yung ABC, under ka ng formal.
Yes.
Okay.
So yung formal operational, Sir Darrell, kung babalikan natin yung question, okay, ikaw ba? Formal operational will go to letter C. Moral principle. Standards of society na siya.
Malito ako kasi sir, sabi na equal to.
So,
About equal to.
okay, may iwan dalawa, yung dalawa is B and D. So since concrete siya, we're talking about operation. So it's more of the characteristic. So concrete. Okay?
Parang under siya ng ano, concrete to formal yung letter B. Patawid.
Yes. Yan. So kung makikita natin dito, ayan, yung picture
Sir,
natin.
can I ask po, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you go back to the previous slide, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Ayan po. We should not, dapat hindi po kami mag-get distracted dito sa reason logically about things. Kasi my answer kasi is letter B kasi ay concrete. And if you're going to analyze pala the choices letter A, B, and C, only letter D na merong concrete na hinahawakan po. Kasi A, B, and C pala, it talks about perspective of a certain individual po pala.
Correct. Diba? Kaya ano sinabi, thank you Sir John Mark for pointing out that one, no? Kaya ano sinabi ni Sir Mats na technique na tinuro ko? Concentrate on the question, identify the stem, identify the conditions or parameters. So yung conditions or parameters, concrete. So meaning concrete, di ba? Concrete siya, konkreto. Okay, konkreto siya. So if you're going to look at that, so it's more of perception nga yung A, B, and C. Okay? So kaya dito tinignan natin. Kaya kanina narinig ko Sir Darrell, reversibility. So actually, kaya naisipan ko idagdag, ipakita sa inyo yung concrete operations of different situations. So we have concert.
Kasi meron siyang meron siyang under, kaya nakakalito.
Yun, correct. So yan, ito yung mga natin. So, conservation, ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon siya ng idea Yan. Dito, more on, kung makikita natin yung sa progress, pag malaki na, meron nang kinoconsider na nag-isip. Tingnan natin dito, di ba? Ito, senses. Dito, you will be able to look at perceptions, drop of water. Here, you are now knowing the value of half and full based on the size of the container. Then, you have now a standard view of what is a half and a full. So, yan po yung ano natin. Okay? So, again, kaya sinasabi ko po, sa question pa lang, magigets na natin kung ano yung hahanapin. Kasi meron ng keywords na tatama sa akin. Are we clear po? Give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Sir Anthony. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So, tsaka huwag tayong balito sa conservation, reversibility. Okay, conservation and reversibility. Actually, nagbaba na dito sa classification na to. So, I hope na nadaanan niyo po to, no? Sa yung conservation, reversibility, yan yung medyo nakakalito. Meron pa yung isa, yung centration. So, mamaya i-discuss ko rin po yun. Let's move on. Okay, so please plug in your answer. Yan. Thank you very much, Sir Anthony. And Sir Anthony, tinatype niya pati yung choices. Very good. Thank you po. So give me a heart, Facebook Live participants, if I'm clear. Narinig po ako ng malinaw on your end. Okay, Ma'am Ange, pabasa ulit. Yes. Ma'am ba or sir? Sorry, Ma'am Ange.
Yes po.
Yeah, ma'am.
Hello,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Naririnig niyo po ako?
Yes. Go ahead po.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, babasahin ko lang po. Which of the following theory calls for adaptation to the learner's biological and developmental set of characteristics? So, here, my answer is letter A, sir. Nakuha ko lang siya doon sa, ano ba yung tawag yun? What should I say? Clue. Yung clue word ko doon yung adaptation, sir. So, my answer is letter A. Ay, sorry.
Okay. So what are we going to eliminate? So which of the following theory? So meaning this has something to do with theory. Lahat ng choices theory. So mag-iisip na tayo, di ba? Then, so the STEM is all about theory. Then the condition is adapting to the learner's biological and developmental set of characteristics. So adaptation, biological, developmental set of characteristics. Okay? So yun yung ano natin. So I am not annotating po so that you will be listening para hindi rin po kayo malito talaga. Okay? So I hope it's okay for you if I'm not annotating, no? You have observed I'm not annotating. So what we are going to eliminate, ano ba sagot? Sabi ni Ma'am Ange, learning style. So dito rin, yan, learning style. Learning style. Okay. Sige. Ma'am Ange, can you give me some of your prior knowledge about learning style? Why you are convinced na learning style yung sagot?
Siguro, sir, based na lang po sa understanding ko doon sa question. But I am not sure po.
Okay. So as a teachers, di ba, we really need to know about the learning style, di ba? We need to have to know the learning style of the learners. Now, are you familiar with inborn tendencies? Have you heard about inborn tendencies?
Ano po yun, sir?
Inborn tendencies. Panahon namin, inborn tendencies ang tawag doon.
Inborn yung ano,
Inborn,
pagkapanganak meron na siya.
inborn tendencies. Diba? Pero nasa kanya na. Okay? And we need to adapt to that. Okay? We need to adapt to what the learners has already or had already. Okay? So, tatanggalin natin psychoanalytic. Tatanggalin natin yung reading readiness. So, may iwan yung dalawa na pinagpipilian nyo.
Final answer, letter C.
Okay? So, yes, correct, Sir John White. So, actually, binago lang yung term, pero inborn tendencies pa rin siya. Answer is multiple intelligence. Okay. Take note, we're talking about, yes, Ma'am Lynette, yeah, you're raising your hand. So, before I proceed, go ahead po. You're recognized.
Para siyang ano, mayroon ka na kaya mong i-develop o kaya mong i-enhance.
Yes, Ma'am Lynette. Yeah. Nakatas ng kabas, Ma'am Lynette. Ayun, okay. Tricky, yes.
Sir Majed,
Yes, go ahead, Ma'am Arlene.
yeah,
Ma'am
now
Labanesa.
I analyze because of the word biological, parang yun ay talagang skills niya eh. So from itself is the multiple intelligence theory he or she has. So
Yes.
doon niya talaga ma-adapt yung kanyang learner style. So yung biological, doon ko naisip biological and then the multiple intelligence theory.
That's why learning style will be under the multiple intelligence. Kasi kung ano yung inborn na sa'yo, inborn na sa'yo.
Born, yeah.
So
inborn
the style how you learn will go with what you have already.
Mhm.
Okay? So, yeah. Kaya okay lang yung pinili niyo yung learning style and multiple intelligence. Sabi nga tricky. Pero ano ba yung titingnan natin doon? Biological develop set of characteristics. Okay? That's why we have Gardner's multiple intelligence, di ba? That we as a teachers, we need to know, we need to be able to develop or to discover kung ano yung mga intelligences ng mga estudyante natin. Okay? So that we can be able to give varied activities para matulungan natin sila na ma-develop. Okay? Again, learning, facilitating learning is manifesting a change in behavior of our learners. Okay? So, adaptation to learners' biological and developmental set of characteristics. Set of characteristics. Are we clear po? Give me a thumbs up if I can proceed. That's why in facilitating learning, hindi lang visual, hindi lang audio, hindi lang kailangan halos lahat pa din natin matap. Okay? So that the learners will have the sense of belongingness. Okay? If you are familiar, okay? If you are familiar with, I hope you're familiar, no? Because multiple intelligence actually gives or reflect the whole child approach na dinevelop ng ACSD, yung whole child approach, which is engaging, healthy, safe, challenge. So, kailangan natin i-consider lahat yung intelligence na meron siya. Kaya nga may mga school na tinatayo ngayon na multiple intelligence school. And I learned that in our continuous learning. So, Sir Mad's answer, teacher A, is still continue in learning. So, we're taking our doctoral. So, yan. Kaya, mas lalo natin mai-share yung ano yung pwede na makakatulong sa inyo to be able to understand clearly. Okay po? So, huwag natin kakalimutan si Gardner. Thank you, Sir John Mark. Yun. I think familiar sila lahat dito kay Sir John Watson. Siya ba yung partner ni Sherlock Holmes? Okay, so I think, yan. Sorry, hindi na set yung aking. Thank you, Mamami. Shout out, Mamami. Okay. The correct answer is letter D. Okay, so that is men are built, not born. So, effect of heredity. So, pag heredity, so nandun na sa kanya, genetics, no? Then, effectiveness of training on person's development, built. So, meaning there is an effect. There is actually a manifestation of changes. The absence of genetic influence on person's development, or the effect of environment stimulation on person's development. So, if we are going to relate that, letter D talaga yung pinakatama sagot kasi the environment where we are will help us on how we develop ourselves. So, the same with our learners. Okay?
Pwede rin siya under ng nature and nurture.
Yeah, nature and nurture.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
It is actually under nature and nurture. Have you heard about that? The nature and nurture? Sino po nakarinig nun? Nature and nurture. So, your environment definitely affects on how you develop. So, syempre yun, yung surroundings natin, yung mga nakakasama natin, yung mga tao, yung mga, di ba? Tumitibay tayo. Okay? We learn to imitate, ika nga. Yan. So, I will not rationalize more on that kasi perfect tayo doon. Yes, proponent of behaviorism, John Watson. Plug in your answers. I'm also asking, thank you, Ma'am Arsenia, Sir Carlos, Sir Anthony. Okay. Sir Darrell, kindly read, sir.
What process involves the storing, preserving, and retrieving of learning accurately when need for such arises? A. Learning. B. Retention. C. Teaching. D. Transfer.
So, what are you going to eliminate muna?
Teaching and transfer.
Okay, teaching and transfer. Okay. Then you will be leaving learning and retention. So, as I can see, our Zoom participants, our Facebook Live participants, yun, valid answers A and B. How about our Zoom? Okay, consistent. Okay, hindi valid. Okay. So, the correct answer is okay, that is retention. Okay. Why retention? Because of storing and preserving and retrieving. Ayan. Because of the word retrieving, kailangang balikan. Okay? Retrieve information. Okay? Storing, preserving, retrieving.
Hindi siya makamove on.
Hindi makamove on. Move on din pag may time. Okay? Ayan. So again, retention. So retention. Again, yun nga ang pinaka, di ba? Yun ang pinaka, sinasabi ko nga, Yun yung pinakasukatan ng kagalingan ng tao dati, di ba? Kung gaano kadami yung nare-retain na information sa kanya. But it's not really the measure of learning, but it is how relevant you can apply what you know. So meaning, the retention, the information that you have, you can still go back to that stock knowledge, pwede mo pa rin, di ba? Kahit gaano katagal na, okay, for example, yung mga nagtuturo, no? For example, nakapanood ka ng movie, sci-fi movie, and you are a science teacher, then you can use that, okay, as a source or as a stimulus to drive learning experience sa mga estudyante natin. So that's why, ang pinaka-ano natin dito is retrieving of learning. Okay, so retention. Yan, so sa Zoom, okay tayo. Nagkaroon lang ng kalituan sa A and B. Pero tama po. Very good. You were able to identify the two possible answers, learning and retention. Move on. Okay. So, very good. Yun. So, as I can see, all of you are correct. So, providing variety of learning activities to students is a characteristic of a teacher who understands the principle of. So, if we're going to look at the choices, so we are going to look for the choices that talks about the principle of the teacher in relation to providing varied learning activities. So, meaning, focus natin ay learner. So, hindi masyado sa teacher, di ba? So, the correct answer, tingnan natin. Tama tayo. Variety. Yes. Indeed. Differences. Variety, differences. Students' characteristic, individual. Okay. Individual difference, correct. Multiple intelligence. Okay. So, we will stay on that kasi puro tama yung sagot natin. Kindly put the number po for our Facebook Live viewers. Kindly put the number of items that you're answering po. Okay? Para po alam na. Thank you, Sir Joyson. And so according to this developmental psychologist, children's thinking skills move from simplicity to complexity. So, move from simplicity to complexity. So, merong keywords, di ba? May keywords tayo doon. Move from. Okay. Move from simplicity to complexity. So, magkakaroon tayo stage. So, stage. Meron siyang stage. Diba? Meron siyang stage. So, eliminate B and B. Okay. Bakit natin eliminate si Thorndike? Si Thorndike ay behaviorism, right? Behaviorism is Thorndike. But this Thorndike is more of, excuse me, on the learner readiness, no?
Complex to simplicity.
So, yes.
Thorndike.
Okay, that is Piaget. So yung kaninang pinakita ko po sa inyo, from sensory motor to formal operational stage. Wherein, you were able now to consider the standards. Okay. Bandura Social Learning Theory. Yan. So huwag natin kakalimutan si Bandura, si Gajay. Yan. And I know you've been focusing on those psychologists. So when we say facilitating learning, again, we're talking about on how we deal with the learners. So kasama doon yung kanilang development. Physiologically and psychologically. Yan. So tama po lahat. Okay. Good. So binabalikan natin ulit. Yan. Yun po yung ano natin. Okay. Let's move on. Sorry, typographical error ako. Wait, sir. Okay. Okay. Sino kaya pwede? Sir LJ. Yeah, Sir LJ. Hello, Sir LJ. Oh, Sir Dennis. Okay, Sir Dennis, would you mind reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Teacher Anne asked her student to describe how their families celebrate holidays. Students can discover that people celebrate holidays differently. Which principle in cognitive development governs Teacher Anna's teaching activity? A. Children actively construct their knowledge. B. Children often think in different way at different ages. C. Social interaction is essential for cognitive development. D. Cognitive development involves relating new information to prior knowledge.
Okay. So let us look at the question. So what is the stem of the question? Ano yung pinaka-tinatanong niya? Tinatanong niya is the principle of cognitive development that govern yung activity binigay ni Teacher Hannah. Okay? So ano ba yung activity binigay ni Teacher Hannah? To describe how their families celebrate holidays. Okay. So yun yung activity ibinigay niya. So ano principle ng cognitive development kaya ang nag-govern doon? So let us look at your answers. Cognitive development. Let me see. Let me look at the answers of our Facebook Live. Okay. Yan, valid answers din. Valid answers tayo. Sir Dennis, what is your answer?
Letter A, sir.
Okay. Why letter A?
Kasi po, ito lang po yung opinion ko, sir. Kasi po, sir, doon sa question, si Teacher Anne na nag-ask po doon sa estudyante niya kung paano din sineselebrate ng ibang pamilya yung holidays. Then po, po sa isip ko na, syempre, yung nasa isip ko, sir, syempre, mag-isip po yung mga bata kung ano yung ginagawa nung families pag holiday. Kaya po yung answer ko, letter A, children actively construct their knowledge. Syempre po, mag-iisip po yung bata kung ano po yung main na ginagawa ng every families pag holiday, sir. Kaya A po yung answer ko.
Okay. So, nag-focus tayo doon sa bata. Okay, sa bata tayo nag-focus. Okay. How about Ma'am Labonete? Ma'am Marlene? Would you mind sharing your...
For me, because my answer is C, because nakita ko yung kasi social interaction is essential for cognitive development. Kasi parang ano yung ano eh, sir, kasi yung tinanong ng teacher yung estudyante, how to describe daw their family celebration holidays. So yung celebration na yun, it will depend to their social interaction with each other, and also it will depend to their stages. So yung sa cognitive development. So that's my wild answer.
Okay. Okay, that's a good one. Yes, okay, that's correct, Sir Anthony. Okay. You have the idea. Okay. P or C. Okay. So tingnan natin. Ulitin natin yung STEM ang focus natin, no? Focus natin yung STEM. Ang tinatanong ay ang principal na nagpapaliwanag sa activity ibinigay ni Teacher Hana. At yung activity na binigay niya is related to cognitive development. Are we clear po? So meaning, pag tinignan natin dyan, so titingnan natin ha, children actively construct their knowledge. So sabi nga ni Sir Dennis, kasi mag-share sila nung kanilang how their family celebrate, di ba? Okay. Then, i-relate na rin natin doon yung kasi may prior knowledge yun. Kasi alam niya kung anong ginagawa ng family niya. Yan. Di ba? Yun yung idea natin. Okay. Are we clear po? Give me a thumbs up. You get my point? So, ang focus natin is the activity given by Teacher Hana. Ano yung activity yung binigay niya? Tinanong na yung kada isang bata to describe how their family celebrate. And from that, the learning na nagets ng mga bata is that people celebrate different holidays in different ways by simply listening to the sharing of their classmates. Okay? By listening to the sharing of their classmates. So again, we are focusing on the activity given by Teacher Hana, not on how the learning unfolds within the learners. So the answer is letter C. Social interaction is essential for cognitive development. Yes, correct. Ma'am Judy, if you are going to pay attention to prior knowledge, ulitin ko pa, cognitive development involves relating new information to prior knowledge. You have your previous knowledge and you relate, okay? You relate what you learn from the interaction. Doon mo ngayon na-develop na, iba't ibang way pala ang pagsa-celebrate ng holidays, hindi pare-parehas. So, sino yung nag-drive ng learning na yon? Nang ma-relate mo yung new information doon sa dati mong alam na ginagawa mo ng family mo. So that is the social interaction, yung pag-sharing ng mga bata. Are we clear po? So pag nag-stick tayo doon sa prior knowledge, talagang pag nag-stick tayo doon sa bata, isipin natin yung prior knowledge. Kaya pipiliin natin is letter D. Pero again, the stem of the question is about the teacher's activity. How the teacher facilitate the learning by giving an activity. And what is that activity? Sharing, group sharing. And from that group sharing, nalaman ng bata, iba-iba pala yung pag-celebrate ng holidays. Are we clear po? Did you get the point? So this will be explained by social development theory that cognitive development is limited to a certain range at a given age, plus full cognitive development requires social interaction. Okay? So social interaction, the more knowledgeable other. So you're moving away from what you know. So, tama yung sinasabi ni Sir kanina, accommodation. Sabi ni Sir Anthony. Correct. Okay? More than assimilation, you are accommodating anew. Nagets po? Again, pagka nag-focus tayo, ang tanong doon ay activity, the teaching activity. Ano yung teaching activity na ginawa ni Teacher Hannah? Sharing. Tinanong niya yung mga bata isa-isa, and from that sharing ng mga bata, nagkaroon ngayon ng learning, na-discover ng mga learners na people celebrate holidays differently. That is the lesson learned based on the activity given. Are we clear po? Nagets po ako? Copy? Come on. Silence means may doubt pa. So you can still ask question. So again, kasi yung letter D, cognitive relating new information to prior knowledge, nag-focus lang tayo doon sa bata. Again, ang focus natin is yung activity ni Teacher Hannah that facilitates the learning. Okay po. Kaya kailangan, alam natin, ganun ka-tricky usually ang ang mga questions sa problem. Next. Yan. May pinapalas pala sa picture. Okay, so while you are answering, okay. So announcement coming from Teacher A Online Review Center. Final coaching will be exclusive for enrolled reviewees. And for those who want to join the final coaching, please inquire directly to Teacher A. Okay po. So an announcement coming from Teacher A Online Review Center. So for our final coaching, it is exclusive for enrolled reviewees. So, which is essential the cognitive development of person according to Vygotsky. So, Vygotsky, zone of proximal development, di ba? So, zone of proximal development. Scaffolding, correct. Yeah, scaffolding. So, pag kilala natin si Vygotsky, and actually Vygotsky's theory is one of the driving theory in what we are having now. Okay? May sulat ng letter A. Okay, that is social interaction. Yes. Okay, correct. Yan. Tama lahat. O, si Ma'am Marlene, ready na. Ma'am Labonete. You're able to get it po.
I still have one semester, sir. We study this coming semester.
Yes. Pero I can see that you are ready. Kung magtatik ka ngayon, kaya. Okay, so again, going back to what I have presented a while ago. Okay, so cognitive development is more affected by social interaction. People. So, mas mataas yung level ng kaya nga, let's be not a passive learner, but an active learner. That's why we have the 4 Cs, di ba? The 4 Cs in the 21st century. It's more of social interaction, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, by listening, brainstorming, yan. And also creating, right? Communicating. Yan. Yes, sociocultural theory. Okay. Basahin po yung, again, the technique that I'm teaching is very simple. Focus on the question. That's why in my review, I present first the question so that you will be able to identify the STEM, ano yung pinaka-tinatanong, conditions, parameters, keywords that will guide you. Then, look at the choices. Law of elimination, eliminate 2 that will not answer the STEM. Leave 2. Then weighing, okay, timbangin na natin. Sino yung pinaka-close that explain the STEM of the question. Okay. So, dito, sinabi niya, pinaka-least. Okay? So, lahat ng yan ay pwedeng makatulong for longer retention. Pero, sinabi niya, yung pinaka. Okay? Yan. Short-term memory, long-term memory. Correct. Yan. May BCD. Ano yung BCD, Darrell? Yes, correct, Ma'am Alice. Okay. Root
Yung
memories.
A, sir, yung A, short-term memory, yung BCD pang long term.
Yes. Okay. That's why, sabi nga, let's involve our learner. Okay? So, yun po yung ginagawa ko. I hope okay po sa inyo yung ginagawa ni Sir Mats na ini-involve ko kayo, tinatawag ko kayo, no? Para kasi magkaroon tayo ng interaction, so mas madali natin ma-process. Okay. So, yan, tama po tayo. So, ayun, may sumagot ng C. Mastery learning. Okay? So, mastery learning na siya. So, tumataas na yung level. Yeah, rote learning is negative, no? Traditional. Memorization. Okay? Again, it is not about how much you know. It is about how relevant you can apply what you know. Okay? You can relate it. Yung nalaman mo, yung natutunan mo, pwede mong i-relate sa real life situation, sa nangyayari. Yan. So, yun yung pinaka-tinasabi natin, natuto ka. Hindi lang yung joke ko nga sa mga bata, okay? So, mga estudyante ko, eh, pag nag-memorize, what if naging doctor tayo, mag-o-opera tayo, and we encounter some situations na hindi natin nabasa sa book. Anong gagawin mo? Tatakbo ka ng library para lang malaman kung anong gagawin mo kasi hindi mo pa na-encounter. But if we are going to have a self-actualization na yung binabasa natin, we're looking forward pa kung ano pa yung pwede, then mas mataas yung level of learning natin. So, yan. Correct po. Rote learning. Are we familiar with this one? Give me a thumbs up. Well, if you're familiar, it would be a great help. If not, I will be helping you to understand it. No? Okay, shout out for our 78 Facebook Live participants. Heart react naman kung nandyan pa po kayo and you are still with me in our review, in our active review. Okay. So I'm waiting for our Zoom participants as well as our Facebook Live participants. Plug in your answer. So what does Gagne's hierarchical theory propose for effective instruction? Okay, for effective instruction. So, halimbawa, hindi ko po nabasa to. Context clues tayo. Magigets na natin yung idea pagka nag-context clues tayo. So, reward good behavior, that has something to do with motivation. Okay, reinforcing. Socio-emotional climate, that's emotional learning. So, hierarchical. So, dalawa yung hierarchical na nagpapakita. Sequence instruction and teaching beginning with the concrete. Yan. So, ano ba? Sagot. Sir Mads. Okay, hierarchical. Take that. Yes. So hierarchy means it is presented in a sequence. Okay? It is presented in a sequence, hindi bigla-bigla. Learning are being unfold step by step. Okay? Hindi yung gusto mo lang ganito i-unfold. There should be a sequential. So are you familiar with the nine level of instruction ni Gagny? I will show you. Okay. So Gagny's hierarchy of learning. Okay. So this is the stimulus, the response, the process, procedure, differentiation or abstraction, concept formation, rules, and the highest level problem solving. Okay. Meaning the learning that we have will be able to be used to solve problem in the future. Kaya nga yung learning natin ngayon is preparing us for life ready, work ready, career ready. Okay? So this is now Gagny's 9 level of instruction that is applied in online. Okay? Gain attention, inform learner of objectives, prior learning, okay? Present content, provide guidance. Hindi yung kagad, ipapasok mo. We always need to have, even in the lesson planning, di ba? We have steps, hierarchical, hindi yung kagad lang. Dati sa amin, presentation, motivation, comparison and abstraction, yun. Yung mga lang, ngayon nadagdagan, mayroon ng reflection. Okay? Pasan na papasok yung reflection? That is for enhanced retention and transfer on the job. Okay? So this is Gagny's hierarchy of learning. Can you give me a heart if you are familiar with that? If you are not, give me a thumbs up. So pwede nating idagdag po yan. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Charissa. Yes, making learning a long-term thought-centered process. Starting from a stimulus. Every learning naman will always start with a stimulus or a stimuli. Okay? That will drive our interest to focus on that particular stimuli. Whether it will help our emotional, it will touch our emotions or our intelligences or our learning style or passion. Yan. So stimuli pa rin yung pinaka natin. Even in the behaviorism, di ba? Stimulus response. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Ma'am Luis. Okay, so if you are listening a while ago, then you will be able to get ready. Okay, so social learning theory is something to do with modeling, observing, imitating. Okay, so and the proponent of that is none other than Albert Bandura. Saan pa sikat si Sir Albert? Saan pa sikat si Sir Albert? Any other?
Neo-behaviorism.
Come again?
Neo-behaviorism.
Neo-behaviorism. Okay, because of the social. Okay, so the behavior is affected by the environment, by models na nakikita. No worries, ma'am. No worries, ma'am, Arlene. Medyo pagka nabasa mo na po lahat yung theory, malalaman mo na po lahat. And I know you will be able to apply it to different situations in the long run. Neo-behaviorism. Okay. Shout out to our 83 Facebook Live participants. Kindly give me a heart if you're still there. Okay. So learning is an active process. Which one is the best application of this principle? So which of those state or situation shows that there is an active process? So if we are going to look at active process, pag nakita tayo ng word na drills, ay active process yun. Pag nakita tayo ng work project, active process yun. Pag nakita tayo ng multidisciplinary perspective, at saka word na teach, active process yun. So halos lahat active process. Diba? That is active process. Learning is an active process. Learning, sino ba yung natututo? Again, learning is a sole responsibility of the learner, not the teacher. Learning is the sole responsibility of the learner. The teacher is a facilitator. Okay? How you facilitate the learning is by demonstrating, by modeling, and the learner will follow. Okay? So avoid drills which are out of context. Eliminate na kagad. Group students for work or project, that way project become less expensive. The objective of the project did not meet the principle of learning as an active process. So, tanggal na. Naiwan C and D ang choices natin. So, sino dyan yung pinaka talagang magde-define that learning is an active process? C or D are the choices, correct? So the correct answer is letter D. Let students learn the steps and open your computer by making them follow the step. Hands-on learning. Being an active learner. Okay po? Hindi yung pagka nagtuturo ka ng computer subject, wala kang computer, walang stimulus na computer wherein you will be able to right away see if there is a learning is taking place. Kaya yung sa computer, hands-on. Lagi. Are we clear po? C po ata. Okay. So again, learning is a sole responsibility of the learner. So kaya may iwan C or D. Yung C is teacher. Okay? Teaching your content from a multidisciplinary perspective. Okay. While letter D, you have the process because of the word step. Oh. Yes. Thank you, Ma'am Labaneta. Thank you, Sir John Mark. I hope, Sir John Mark, you can read po, no? Ayun. May bago pala. Si Ma'am ba to? Si Ice? Ma'am or Sir? Solmoro.
Sir.
Sir, yes, sir. Okay, sir, would you mind reading po?
Number 17. Bruner's theory on intellectual development moves from inactive to iconic and symbolic stages. Applying Bruner's theory, how should the teacher teach? A. Be interactive in approach. B. Begin with abstract. C. Do indirect instruction. And D. Begin with concrete. Alala ko, sir, to, letter D. Begin with concrete.
Oh, sir, paano mo naalala? Ayan, retention yan. Paano mo naalala? Ano yung tinandaan mo? Sige.
Alam ko, sir, pag sinabing yung inactive, parang experience, sa experience na galing. Tapos iconic, parang, ano nga ba siya? Parang icon, plus symbol, mga languages or words. Inactive, experience, kaya concrete.
Okay, correct. Yan. Any other sharing po? Go ahead. Yun, naalala ni Sir. That's a nice one.
Yung theory ni Brunner, sir, ano siya, pang indirect approach sa sir.
Okay.
This
what
is
do you-
relating to concrete hanggang sa ma-attach ng bata yung abstraction, which is yung ano tawag ito, bulang dila ako.
Tama. Go ahead. Correct. Actually,
Yung hindi na siya nakadepende sa bagay, sir. Yung kahit wala na yung bagay, kaya niya pa rin matuto.
Yes. Okay, tama. Okay, Brunner's theory is actually applicable in teaching mathematics. Ang pinaka-importante dito. If I'm going to relate that, teaching mathematics, I can remember one of the steps in lesson planning in math. Okay? Ewan ko kung makaka-relate kayo, no? One of the steps in lesson planning in math or presenting lessons in math, we start with concrete, semi-concrete, abstract, semi-abstract. Can you remember that? Have you encountered that one? So, ngayon binago yan, bago na siya, ang tawag na ngayon is CPA. Sino yung mga math major dito? Hindi certified public accountant. Ha? CPA na siya. Concrete, pictorial, and abstract. Yan. So, nagbabago-bago lang siya, pero nag-i-stay pa rin siya doon sa mga dati, yung mga nagsimula, no? Yung mga Brunner's theory. Pero nagbabago-bago as we go on. So, tama, sabi nga ni Sir, how to pronounce the name, Sir? Isbon?
Acebon, sir.
Isbon, okay. Yeah. General to specific, yes. So we start with learning, syempre, bago mo namang gawing symbolic yung ano, di ba? Symbolic yung, actually, ito yung ginagamit, if I'm not mistaken, ito yung ginagamit kung bakit napakagaling ng math, napakagaling ng Singaporean math because they use block model approach. That's why pagdating sa algebra, madali na sa kanila yung paggamit ng X, Y. Sa atin dati, pag nag-algebra tayo, di ba? Nag-algebra tayo, letters kagad. Okay? Find X, unknown. So meaning, we now use a symbolic representation of something. Yun yung tinuro sa atin kung bakit find X tapos nagaling mga ba't lagi na lang hinahanap si X kaya binabago na N. Let N. So, meaning we now symbolize something as a variable already. Pero nagsimula muna siya as a concrete inactive. Okay. So, begin with concrete. Begin with concrete before symbols. Even in numbers, no? So, medyo nawawala-wala din minsan, di ba? Medyo nagsisimula na kagad. Anyone who are English dito? Sa English, how do you apply Brunner's theory of inactive sa language? Sa math, madali. Sa science, madali. Block model, yung block model ng Singapore. That's why they are the best pagdating sa math. That's why we adopt the Singaporean math now. Kaya meron ng block modeling sa grade schools before going to high school. Nagpa-block model na yung mga decimals. Okay, yung mga Lego blocks. Ginagamit na. Yun. So, yan. Wala tang English. So, that's okay. Ito yung inactive iconic symbolic framework of Brunner. Okay? So, the three modes of representation. So, inactive. So, it is concrete, iconic, pictorial. Kaya sabi ko kanina, CPA na yung tawag dyan, concrete, pictorial, and abstract. Then symbolic, we use now letters to represent variables or the learning that we want. Okay? Parang katulad sa, bakit ba X-ray ang pinangalan sa X-ray? And because of that X-ray, kaya lahat ng unknown related na sa X. Kaya pag sa math, X is used as a representation of unknown. Kasi when Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen discovered X-ray or that ray, hindi niya alam. Kaya ang X-ray means unknown type of ray. So kaya X-ray. Okay, last. Maslow. So ito common to yung narinig na Maslow before Bloom's, di ba? Especially in this time of pandemic. You have heard about that. Thank you, Sir Eric. Okay. So, yeah, we have heard about that Maslow's before Bloom's in this time of pandemic, di ba? So, Bloom's is more of the cognitive aspect than Maslow. Pay attention to a more important one. Okay. Yan, sabi. Okay. Ako muna bago iba. Parang ganun, ano? Ako muna bago iba. So, the sense of belongingness, the psychological need, the safety needs, these are all under Maslow. Pero ang tanong dito, to the fullest and satisfy the hierarchy needs, meaning from the simple stage going to the highest stage na siya. So if a student is encouraged to develop himself to the fullest, okay? Kaya lagi ko sinasabi, in our review, 2 things that you should develop are self-realization and self-actualization. Yan. Okay? Self-realization, self-actualization is merged or married by self-reflection. Because at the end of this, you're going to reflect. Nakita ko kanina si Sir Anthony, yun, sabi, nagre-reflect siya. And how he answered the question. So I will be presenting, before I end, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. So the basic needs would be the first. So the food, the water, the warmth, the rest. Then the safety, definitely, as I said, yung ASCD, the whole child approach, wherein the learner should be healthy, safe, engaged, challenged. Okay. Then self-actualization is having your full potential. Okay. Wherein you can really say that you are now a learner agency. Okay. An owner of your own learning. That's why in this new type of learning, learners are active participants of their learning. It's not the teacher. The teacher are just facilitator. Okay po? So give me a thumbs up if everything is clear. Yeah, so we will end up at there. Medyo late na po sa kanila. Yan. Okay, so again, so to end up my lesson, always remember facilitating learning covers a lot of things, no? The different theories, mula sa bata, sa development niya. Okay? Kaya kailangan natin balikan yung mga theories pag medyo hindi pa natin sila master talaga. At pag binalikan natin, wag lang natin siyang basahin, but let's try to apply. Let's look for a situation in some of the reviewers that you have at identify mo, eto dito ka. Eto dito ka. Okay? Para, again, yung pinaka-simple technique nga is focus on the question. So I will end up sharing. Ayan. So, si Ma'am. Stop share. Okay. So, how's our learning for today? I hope I become a help on your end on facilitating. Thank you very much po. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you po. Yeah, nag-enjoy po as a
Thank you po. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Sir Iceborn, okay, what can you say about your experience, your learning?
Yeah, madami po sir ako natutunan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you po. Thank you.
Sir Majo, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Some words?
Yeah, actually for me, I think to identify all those theory And I have to memorize that, yung mga theories. Kasi daming theories, sir, eh. At hindi ko
Dami
pa
po.
natatakal yung ibang ganong mga theories. Anyhow, through our learning process, our online learning, so nalalaman ko na rin, nag-study na rin ako at the same time.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Labanet. Thank you po. I hope you enjoy staying with me. Okay. And thank you for being an active learner. Okay. Sir John Mark. Yan. How about Sir John?
Hi, hello po, sir. Wait. Pangit po talaga yung camera ng laptop.
Okay.
Hi po, sir. I would like to say thank you so much for this opportunity wherein you really have impart a lot of knowledge from us, and we do believe that it would really help us in taking our board exam po. Thank you so much, sir. See you next time. I hope there's a
See
lot pa
you.
po.
See you po. See you po. And again, thank you din po sa pag-participate nyo. As I said, no, I always start with the quote that I do believe that we need to involve the learner. So I'm considering you as a learner. Hindi lang po kayo natututo, pati ako. Okay? Why? Kasi kayo, may mga bagong learning kayo na learn ko previously, pero ibang term ang ginagamit. As I said nga, sa lesson planning, di ba? Sa lesson planning dati sa math, merong yun nga, yung concrete, semi-concrete, semi-abstract, semi-abstract na pagpe-present ng lesson sa math. Kaya tapos pag hindi mo nagawa yon, ang daming red, ulit ka. Ewan ko ngayon kung ganun pa rin ba ang process. Hindi ko na alam ang lesson planning ngayon. How's the lesson planning ngayon? 2 columns ba kayo? Sa notebook ba?
Iba-iba, sir. Actually, sa school kasi namin, sir, pina-follow namin yung RVM method po.
RBM. Okay.
Yes po.
So that's good. You know the method that you're using. And pinaka-importante. That's good. Thank you, Sir John Mark. Yun. Any other
Thank you
one?
din, sir.
See you. Yan. Sige po. Anyone who wants to share pa po? Go ahead. I really enjoy having you po. Especially if you're participating. As well as our Facebook Live. Thank you, Sir Anthony. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciated. Appreciated po. Thank you, Sir Reggie. Yan. Thanks. So our Facebook Live viewers, thank you for your participation. Thank you, Ma'am Louise, as well. Yan. See you po next time in our learning journey.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye po. God bless.
Bye.
Sir.
God bless. Enjoy your meal. Ano oras na ba? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 na. 9 p.m. na. Yeah. Keep safe. Keep safe.
Bye, sir. Good night po.
Bye. Bye, Ma'am Ange. Ma'am Sharisa as well. Thank you for your participation. God bless din po, Ma'am Prazel Cortez. Ayan. Have a nice day ahead po.